Hello, everyone. Welcome to another Coffee and Contemplation brought to you by Spotlight Recovery. I'm your host, Lucas. It is March 23rd, and we've got a good reflection today on letting go of control. Seems to be one of the themes for March is control, and this concept of letting go of control. And it's, and it was another good one, so I just wanted to lean into it. So going to bring it on up here for us, and let's get into it. So, March 23rd, letting go of control. For the trouble is that we are self-centered, and no effort of the self can remove the self from the center of its own endeavor. William Temple. This quagmire of troubles we men were caught in came, in part, from our best efforts to be self-sufficient. The harder we worked to provide our own cures, to control others in our lives, or to control ourselves, the more we fixed our attention on ourselves. We could not see the answers we were using were actually part of the problem, not the solution. Even today, we may be partially caught in the folly of this thinking. Whenever we think we see our problems and the answers clearly, but don't open our incomplete selves to the wisdom of others, we are in danger of intensifying our self-focus. When we have a pattern of telling our fellow members the completed stories of our pain, only when our pain is past, we are maintaining our self-centered system. We can't lift ourselves out of our self-centeredness. We can only turn it over to our higher power and allow ourselves to be released. I am grateful for the healing that comes when I stop being so self-centered in my efforts. This inspiration is from Touchstone's Daily Meditations for Men. Yeah, so there's a couple really good points in here, and obviously you don't have to be a man to identify with this. I think it's just a lot more of being a person in recovery. This opening quote is great. I get to read up and see who William Temple is because I think that's fantastic. Oh, we're self-centered. That's the trouble. And no effort of the self can remove the self from the center of its own endeavor. I think it's very true. And that's very much been my experience and what I've seen in recovery through my own and with people doing their own recovery work and program. And it's amazing to see how so many of us, and maybe this is more emphasized in men. Please in the comments correct me, let me know if I'm wrong. I think just societally here in North America, men were raised so much of like just work hard and pull up your bootstraps and just make things happen, and a man takes what he wants and all this fucking bullshit that has damaged everybody. With all of that mentality, the automatic thought still is to then turn inward. So if we have a problem, we have an issue, especially let's say with addiction, the natural response is to turn inward. No, I got to do this. I got to do this for myself. I got to make this happen. I got to work hard. It's all I gotta. And it's fascinating to see how much that is the just common response. That is the natural response that a lot of people take. Because that is the root, and in a lot of ways in recovery, it doesn't work. It doesn't work. It's not going to work for you. If it did, you wouldn't be watching this video. You wouldn't need others and a 12-step or whatever recovery program. You wouldn't need to go to treatment, therapy, all of this stuff. So we know that it doesn't work, and that's what we've seen time and time again. Now, and one of the recent reflections I did talking about self-support, if you haven't watched that one yet, check it out. There is a difference between getting support and help from others outside of you and then you still doing the work yourself. So these are two different things. So I'm not saying you don't have to work your ass off and be willing and show up and do all these things in recovery. You absolutely have to. I'm just saying if you do that all by yourself, follow your own guidance, your own suggestions and advice, that's where we get into a lot of trouble because our disease rests in our mind. And especially if you get to the point of full-blown addiction, it has been pulling the puppet strings on you for years, convincing you this is a good idea, that's a bad idea, you should do this, you shouldn't do that. So just expecting you're going to self-will, outwill and outsmart your disease that has clearly got the best of you, you're just setting yourself up to fail. You're just setting yourself up for failure, and I've seen it countless time and time again. So I think this distinction and understanding this is really important, just because I want you to succeed. and I want you to do well, and I want you to lick this thing. So there's that first point there, and in that quote that I really like when it talks about. And then it carries on to that more than in this first paragraph. I love the quagmire. Amazing. The quagmire of troubles we're caught in is this is a result of our best efforts to be self-sufficient. So it's same with that slogan of your best thinking got you here. And now that can sound degrading and insulting, and we can easily take it personally. The language is a bit strong because it's short. I like kind of reframing it a bit and not taking it as such, rather than just accepting this truth of where I've got and where I'm at. So when I come into the rooms asking for help, and again, that's not a personal failing of you, that's you having an untreated illness. So it's the same thing as like ripping on a diabetic for not being able to control their blood sugar levels when they're not taking their insulin. Like, that's the most ridiculous fucking thing you've probably ever heard, and you wouldn't do it. So then don't do the same for yourself if you've had an addiction, an untreated illness, and then you haven't got the appropriate treatment or a program or whatever. It's the same thing. It's the same thing. It's the result of an untreated illness. So that self-sufficiency without the right help, support, guidance, skills, tools, all of these things is only going to get you so far because of the nature of this disease. So in that aspect is now where we're really getting to this letting go of control piece. The title of this reflection, what we're talking about, what seems to be the theme of March. I guess it's letting go of control March. That's just what I found in all these books and all these reflections I'm reading. So that's where we're really getting into that piece. And so it just elaborates a little bit more on that. We all have our own experience of this when we come in, of what our attempts at control have looked like, how we've tried to push and make things happen, and then as that got worse, or as our addiction got worse, we then just double down and try to control harder and push harder, and typically the result then goes the opposite way that we want. And then those results just keep getting worse. Again, because we're coming from, a lot of the times, this self-centered or self-focused, willfully forcing space that is being directed or controlled by this puppet master disease we have in our mind. So no shit, it doesn't work. Like, it's a pretty clear picture, actually, once you kind of understand all these pieces. Then in the second, like this main big paragraph here, I really like that they talk about on how if you're still keeping your problems to yourself, if you're not sharing them with others, if you're only talking to people after the crisis has passed, after you've gone through these hard emotions and this hard time, you're still being selfish. You're still being self-centered and self-focused. I really like that perspective. Here we go. Yeah. So I'm just going to read through it here because there's so much. I don't want to lose this. Whenever we think we see our problems and the answers clearly, but don't open our incomplete selves to the wisdom of others, we are in danger of intensifying that self-focus. And again, it's not even degrading or insulting you. It's not saying you are incapable. It's just like, if you've heard the line, 2 heads are better than 1, for me, that's pretty much all it's saying. So it's not saying you can't. It's saying, I think it's saying, if you have others included, you could do better. So why would you not? Right? Why would you not? On top of the side benefits of a lot of us get so lonely in addiction. So now you're going to deal with that, dealing with these two problems at the same time. Why would you not go that route? Right? When we have a pattern of telling our fellow members the completed stories of our pain, only when our pain is past, we are maintaining our self-centered system, right? And usually it's from, oh, I don't want to ask for help. It's my business. It's no one else's business. I don't want anyone to see me like this. All of this stuff. A lot of them are, I found they're really just excuses. And I'm sorry. And if this pisses you off, I'm sorry. But I think that's just an excuse. It's a justification just to stay in the spot. And also, too, there's a good chance that that's not coming from you, your true self. That's coming from your disease. that's coming from your addict, that's still trying to save face, create this version of yourself that you present to the world, right? So I still think that's in that disease spot. So again, not you or an insult on you. I just think that's another way where your addict's got a hold of you. So something to look at and consider, genuinely. Again, from my experience, that's very much been the case. And I've been doing this for a while. The end of this paragraph is the same as with the quote. We can't lift ourselves out of self-centeredness. Now it goes into the God thing. We can only turn it over to our higher power and allow ourselves to be released. That is absolutely a version. That is one version that's very powerful. I don't think it's the only version. I think it talks about it prior to sharing with others, talking with others, just sharing with other people. There can be so many other supports and spaces that you can share and talk about these things more than just God. Again, I'm a big spiritual person. I'm a big believer in God after years of this work, and I love my faith and all of that, but that doesn't have to be the only thing, and I know there's so much resistance with that, so I don't want to say that's the only way. Try working with others first. Share with others, going to meetings in therapy, group therapy, building that support system, family, friends, whatever it may be. That's another great way you can help get lifted out of that self-centeredness. Being really honest and open about where you're at and what's going on, sharing that with other people, and that will help bring you out of this space. Again, if you could get yourself better, you would have. You can't. Therefore, accept some help from others. Do some work a program, maybe consider the higher power thing, but all of these little things can help bring you out of this state. Okay? Bottom quote, I am grateful for the healing that comes when I stop being so self-centered in my efforts. Just pretty much agreed. I think that's pretty much all I can say about that, I think. Another thing, too, that I found with this, and I'll end with this, is when I get out of self, I get out of these self-centered fears and thoughts and perspectives, my whole world opens up. And that may seem pretty straightforward and like a silly thing to say, but if you truly experience it and go through this, it feels different. The world looks different. You know, colors, the way you've seen things, you see them differently. You're there, present, you're connecting with others. You're not just stuck in your head where all these darkness is closing in and everything. You really feel and have just a different experience walking through the world. And when you're connecting with others, they share their problems with you too. You realize they're really not so bad, or they're not as bad as your head was making them out to be. They're not so impossible. They're not so overbearing. It just helps that getting out of self, getting on the same planet as everybody else, getting more connected with others really helps bring more of that sense of that sense of freedom and relief. So it's this really cool kind of chain reaction effect I'm kind of seeing as I'm talking about all this, right? If the focus is removal of self-centeredness, now at the same times too, we are getting out of loneliness and connecting with others and building some form of a support system. We're lessening the burdens of our perceived problems or not. We're finding other solutions for them, which is taking stress and pressure off of ourselves. I mean, you have this one main focus, which can seem like an ego hit, and it's not. It's just spotlighting your disease that you have, and then look at all these other things that can come about of it. This whole like umbrella network that can come out of just doing this work. So it's really quite fabulous. It's very profound. It's very impactful. So I highly suggest it. I can't recommend it enough. So there we go. There you are. Letting go of control, March 23rd. There we are. I hope you resonated with that reflection and some of the topics we're talking about today. Please, in the comments, throw them down there. What stands out for you? What's helped you let go of control or that self-centeredness? What parts are you struggling with? We'd love to hear them. Any of those shares can help somebody else, and that's the whole point. So please get down in the comments and do that. Also, I do recovery coaching with people. So if you're kind of grasping some of these concepts, but feel like you're not quite there yet, you need some more help and guidance, give me a call, send me an email. My info's all in the description. It would be great to hear from you and see if there's a way that I can help you work through some of these issues. Also in that description, we have some other free resources for you, other recovery coaching videos, a podcast, blog. They're all down there. So please check that out. And then if you're liking the channel and this content, please consider supporting us. Doing all the YouTube things, like, share, and subscribe if you're enjoying it. And you can donate, become a member, get yourself some merch. We've got some great branded and recovery clothing in there. We're going to keep expanding it, so keep checking it out. It all just helps us a lot. So we appreciate the consideration. So thanks for stopping by and watching the video with us today. Sorry it was a little bit late today. It was hectic coming back from work with a client. But I hope you have a great day in recovery, another blessed 24, and we'll see you again tomorrow. Bye for now.